here, I'm going to quickly show you. To get a hold of us is either at consult or raysoilhealthconsulting.com. Gabe Brown and myself and our partners opened a school called Soil Health Academy. It's a 3-day intense school. We only want those who really want to learn. Those are the people that show up. Only 40 are allowed in the school. It's a 3-day school in the farm, half lecture, half field. So we opened our own school because we wanted to be more ecologically focused and that we're not controlled or being censored. Oh, by the way, it's no longer Ken Hardy, it's Kathy Richburg. Kathy Richburg you'll be talking to, okay? And that phone, I don't know if that phone number is wrong. Don't ignore this, just put Ray at Soil Health Consulting or Kathy at soilhealthconsulting.com, okay? Now, this is my first roller. I just wanted to show you that. It's my daughter's diesel Jetta. I'm rolling my multi-species cover crop in North Carolina. My lawnmower just went kaput. The carburetor went out. And I said, you know, I need to terminate this cover. And I told my daughter, I said, daughter, can I borrow your car? She said, Dad, what are you going to do with it? I got to roll my cover down. Did you see the dogs in the back? I believe in integrating animals into the system. So we rolled it. I used no herbicide, terminated it, just by rolling it down. There's a lawnmower that just died. And I'm going, yeah. Okay? I just wanted to say this. Your equipment doesn't have to be fancy. Now let me show you my planter. Daughter, unhappy wife. She's my down pressure for my... And I used the blade. I didn't turn the blades on, just lower the deck, plant my sweet corn. Dave Brandt made me that for my lawnmower. Very cool, worked very nicely. I do not show that presentation when she's there. She would not be too happy. Now, how much horsepower do you need for a roller? 1. See, why are we rolling this? Why are we doing this? Why are we? Biomimicry. We are mimicking nature. When you hear the word biomimicry, we're saying mimic nature, mimic life. Biomimicry. In fact, every one of you that are farming or ranching should wear a t-shirt. As you're walking down the airport and say, oh, I'm a biomimicry. Oh, what do you do? I'm a farmer. I'm a rancher. That's what we should have the next t-shirt. I'm going to show you the next. You know, I'll have a lot of young people from all over the country say, hey, where should my kids go to school? Where should they go to college? In fact, I was doing a talk. It was about a couple of weeks ago. And the young man comes up to me and his dad says, my son doesn't want to teach, he doesn't want to go to agronomy school anymore. After hearing my talk, I said, no, go to agronomy school, take all the biology, take all the chemistry, take all the biochemistry, physics, and all the hard sciences, learn a lot of ecology, and ignore the agronomy. Go work with a farmer like Steve Groff, people that know what they're doing. That's what I recommend to you. Now, I'm going to give you a definition of biomimicry. I want to show you the new science of the future. See if my speaker works.
Biomimicry is innovation inspired by nature. It is the process of looking at something like a leaf and trying to figure out how to make a better solar cell. It's become popular in the design disciplines, mainly I think because people are looking for more sustainable ways to do things. And organisms know how to do this. After 3.8 billion years, life has learned what works and what's appropriate on the planet. And right now, that's what the people trying to redesign our world are looking for. What we do in biomimicry is we bring in biologists to the design table. We look at how does nature contain liquids? How does nature repel water? So for instance, go outside, look at any leaf and the veins in a leaf, and what you're seeing is the world's best water distribution network. There's an amazing thing called the Murray's Law that says that all branching structures in the natural world, including our lungs, they all follow a single mathematical formula. And And it has to do with the pipe, branches, and it drops down to a smaller diameter, then it branches again, and that drops down to a smaller diameter, and that's predictable. People in green building now are starting to say, well, maybe our 90-degree angles that we have in plumbing are really friction devices. Maybe we should distribute electricity differently in a building, water differently in a building, even gases, even air conditioning differently in a building, by mimicking this Murray's Law in our plumbing. The most important thing that people should know is that a sustainable world already exists. We're just now beginning to open our eyes and realize that the answers to the questions we've been asking, how we live here sustainably, are all around us.
My God, how simple, huh? It is so simple. It took me, I went to school for 8 years and I missed it. All that education. And someone who said, hey, your logo is the biomimicry. How many of you use Velcro? Raise your hand. It is awesome. Velcro was designed by mimicking a copper engineer funded on the fur of his dog. And that engineer's name is Millionaire. Billionaire. Guys, our cell phone, the antenna, fractal, mimicking the natural system. We need to mimic this. We are mimicking the diversity. Can you hear me now? Okay, is that better? And we're going to rewind. This is our goal. I want to mimic the architecture of the prairie and the forest. They're both diverse. They both have a living root. They are covered 24/7. They both have an armor. They both embrace diversity. Wow. And they doesn't kill. All of them have animals in the system. The more you mimic it, the more money you save. Biomimicry has been around for a long time. My gosh, I don't know how many times I passed through that scripture. Just ask the beasts. Watch, observe. What did Steve say today? We have lost the art of observation. It has been there for a long time. The reason I missed it, it was 8 years of education in reductionism. I forgot to look at the real template. This is the template. This is the diversity. With diversity, it transfers nutrients and all types of things from one organism to another. Nutrients get transported through diversity. Water, nutrients. We are designing mixes that do this. All have a different root depth. Each plant exudes different chemicals into the microbes, exciting different biology. That's why I want to mimic this architecture from the prairie or the forest. Our mixes look like this. See, if I improve the architecture, then I bring the pollinator. I bring the beneficials. How many of you knew there's 1,700 beneficial insects for every pest? We didn't know that, did we? 1,700 beneficials for every pest. But if you're planting nothing but monocultures and there's no beneficials, then you have to buy insecticides. Then you have to buy all the sides. Let me give you an example how powerful diversity is. This happened in North Dakota. This is the year I got to meet Gabe in 2007. Here, I've learned, this is the year that I threw my weed science book in the trash. I learned that nature is more collaborative than she is competitive. North Dakota gets about 12 to 16 inches of rain. You think you're cold? No, you're not. Once you go over there and you go in the winter of negative 50, one day I called Gabe and I said, Gabe, oh, we got cold. I'm in southern Missouri, we got negative 15. He goes, Ray, I wear my t-shirt at negative 15. I should do better to ever talk to him about cold. Hey, let me show you what happened. They did some test plots. The district did some test plots. They planted lupin, oilseed, pasha, purple, cowpea, and a cocktail mix. What they did is they took the lupin, oilseed, pasha, purple, all these, and mixed it on this plot. Look at the way the biomass. Now remember, these plots were all had only 1.8 inches of rain. Let me visually show you more than the empirical numbers. 1.8 inches. That's what I would expect the cover crop to look like, right? That's a very little bit of rain. Look at the other monoculture. Now look what happens when we mix them together. It's the plot right next door. There they are, all the brown in the back. If I grew them separate, they look like this. But if I grew them together, they look like this. I was taught competition. You're going to steal water and nutrients. But these plants are growing together. So what happened, class? Nature's collaborative. There's a great paper called the Stress Gradient Hypothesis. Write it down. You can Google it. It's free. This great researcher went all over the world, looked at all the research data, and guess what they found out? Nature, when it's under stress, does not compete. Because if it was the case that everything competed, when we had a massive drought, all the forests would die. All the prairies would die. Nature is more collaborative, and she's competitive. Now, does competition happen? Yes. Do you know what the purpose of competition is? To keep integrity and health within the system. But the overall principle is collaboration. Even us collaborate. And we compete. We need competition. But overall, we need collaboration. Let me show you. But some of you say, but hey, that's North Dakota. God loves North Dakota. He doesn't love the rest of the world. I don't know how many times people have told us that. This is a rye grown in a monoculture situation in Canada. This is a plot right next door with a multi-species mix in Canada. Same thing occurred. Same thing occurred right next to each other, guys. How is this working? The fungi, they transport nutrients and water from plant to plant. They shade. They collaborate. We don't think of it that way. That's amazing. I saw that. That was fantastic. Now, back to biomimicry. What we are doing throughout the country, we are rolling our covers because we want to mimic the forest floor. Also, when you pull your grass and your pastures, when you pull your grass, how many have actually pulled your grasses apart? What's in the bottom of the grass when you pull your grasses apart, guys? Ah, he says nothing. No. Dead grass. Armor, skin. You'll never see the soil barrier in a natural system. Never. This is what we're doing in Tennessee now. All over the country, this is growing. This is a multi-species cover crop. We're rolling it down. We're creating that skin. All those ecosystem processes are occurring. 40% of those counties, that county is covered, called Coffee County. That is corn and soybean planted right into that multi-species mix. Capturing sun, feeding microbes, building aggregates, sheltering, and then that thing will turn brown and dry and leave the armor, and then the corn pops out. Notice here, that whole county had, this is the way the no-till looked. Stratified layers, compaction, didn't look very good. They've been no-till for 30 years. But the moment they went through 3 years of covers, look at the way the soil changed. 3 years of covers that tall. They were pumping carbon. Look at the respiration. Respiration, I told you. More respiration, more work. Those microbes are working because they're being fed. Their water-soluble carbon, that means the groceries are going down because they're consuming huge amounts of carbon. In fact, I guarantee, if you trip in those fields, you'll be digested. They are cycling. I have farmers say, Ray, I have problems with my corn. It's not, my residue keeps staying there for a long time and it's not breaking down. I tell them you have a biology problem. Putting chemical fertilizer will not fix it. You have a biology problem. That's the problem. You're not cycling adequately enough. Okay? Now, these are the principles of biomimicry. You just write it down and you Google it later. This you need to ask yourself if your operation is doing this. Nature runs on sunlight. Is your farm running on ancient sunlight or sunlight? Ancient sunlight is diesel, natural gas, everything that our farms run on. Oil, that's ancient sunlight. The farms that are running on ancient sunlight will go broke. Those who run on sunlight will make money in the 21st century. Nature uses energy only it needs. It cycles everything. Do you know why Gabe Brown stacks up operations? He uses his grains to feed his chicken. Nothing is wasted in the operation. Your waste products, whatever you have in the operation, either be fed and be reutilized again. Nature rewards cooperation. It embraces diversity. Nature demands local expertise. That means look and observe the plants that are there that have survived. Nature curbs excess within. Nature taps into the power of limits. Those are things, so you got to ask yourself this. Are you doing this on your operation? You have to ask these questions. Are you doing this? You have to be sober about it and say, look, am I capturing sun? Am I doing diversity? Am I capturing collaboration? You've got to be doing these principles. Now, into the grazing. Since I'm such a big mimicker of biology and biomimicry, who made the best soils in the world? The animals and the grass. There's only 4 or 5 places in the world that have soils like the United States. All has large herbivores. Argentina, a little piece in China, Ukraine, am I forgetting one? Argentina, United States, Ukraine, Argentina, China, and there's a little piece in China and the United States. Some of the deepest, best soils in the world, Iowa, Illinois, because of these critters. All right? Now we are moving our cattle like this, guys. Our farmers and our ranchers and our grazers, even our dairy guys, are starting to run the cows like the bison, like Africa. They group up in tight groups. Why did they do that? Anybody? Protection from the predators. I'm going to show you the predator for the 21st century just in a second. They moved in huge herds, and they never really overgrazed because they were constantly moving. I do my grazing the same way. That's the way I'm going to run my sheep. People get confused. It says it's the numbers. It's not the numbers. Compaction is a function of time. Compaction is a function of time. These animals were designed to be that tightly grouped because the soil would only function if those groups were tight. I'll show you. These were the predators that moved them. We just heard we need the wolves. We need the coyotes. We need all these things in synchrony. Of course, we don't want them to eat our... But I've been told by a very bright grazer. He says, Ray, never shoot your coyotes if you can avoid it. Gabe Brown the same way. Because the moment you shoot the coyote, then the meaner coyote comes in and he'll start bothering your sheep or your animals. I am cautious about the way I manage my predators. They eat the mice. They eat the other things. When the nature's out of balance, we're going to pay for it. When you start thinking ecologically, you start seeing how everything's connected. What is density?
Now, some people say big grazing is up to 50, high stocks 50 to 250, 250 to higher is ultra high stock density. I have a new concept for all of us and how I like to call this. I don't like the word mob. I like the word adaptive grazing. See, nature uses adaptive energy. Adaptive grazing means someday I'll do 50, sometimes I'll do 200, sometimes I do 250. Sometimes I want to go on vacation and give them the group plenty of room. You adapt to the climate, to the weather, to your life. Adaptive grazing. Nature uses adaptive energy all the time. It adapts. This is how it looks like. 250, 100, 500,000 pounds to the acre, 1,000,000 pounds to the acre. You don't have to do this all the time. If I could get this one occurrence once a year that your pastures are grouped up tight, tell you why you want to do that. I want this. I want the trampling, and I want the manure and urine distribution. I want a cow pie 1 to 2 feet apart. I want to see urine in between. I don't want a cow pie here and by the door. Why do I not want that? Right? You want nutrient distribution because I got to feed my microbes. I left too much ground. I didn't feed microbes from here to the door. I got to feed them. If I feed them, I get more grass. Notice, no bare ground. So when I walk into a grazing operation, here's the first thing I do. I carry a shovel, and I'm looking down like this. I want to see if there's any bare ground. I see bare ground, you took too much. You hurt the microbes. You set yourself back. I want to trample quite a bit. If I live in a very fragile environment with less rain, I only take a third, and I trample most of it. Oh, most grazers go, oh my gosh, my cows are not going to get enough feed. Well, how about the feed for the micro herd? What's their conditioned body score? See, if you don't give them enough corn, if you don't give them enough carbon, urine, manure, you're not going to get the grass. Then you're going to buy fertilizer. You didn't move the cows correctly. Rarely should you ever have to apply nutrients to your paddocks. Never apply them. You don't need them. Let me give you an example. Stock, most people do what you call stock, what do you call it, continuous grazing. They just keep them in a certain set stock. In other words, you open the gate and say, goodbye cow, and you leave. And the cows do whatever they want. And guess what they do? They eat all the ice cream and the dessert. I'll guarantee you, if I had dessert for most of you, you guys would go to the dessert plate or you go to the steak first. Animals are the same way. They go to the same spot. Now, if I want to take this field and I want to get every square foot be covered under this type of system, how many years would it take me to get manure on every, I give it away? Years. It would take 27 years to cover that field with 1 cow pie every square foot. A study was done in Missouri State by Jim Garish. So here's what I got to do. I got to use the new predator. It's called hot wire. I group my cows and my sheep are going to be grouped like that. I'm going to put the big perimeter fence, the best, and everything's going to be portable hot wire. Look at the time I was telling you about. Continuous, 27 years, 14 days. You move them. If I can get producers to move the cows 1 time a day, it makes a huge difference. Huge for your microbe. Why do I want to move them? Right here. And the microbes do not like chemical nitrogen fertilizer. They do not prefer it. They prefer the back end of a cow. They want manure. They want urine. They want saliva. They want life. That's what they prefer. This is the new predator. This is where I'm going. My whole operation is going to go this direction. I'm fencing. I already got 5-wire brand. I got 5-wire strand bob wire. All my livestock pipelines are in place. My next thing is going to drive in rows, and I'm going to move the sheep, and I'm going to move my cattle, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to watch them, and I'm going to observe, and I'm going to be involved, and they're going to make money for me, and I have no inputs, just that hot wire and time. It's my peace and time to go out there and observe natural system. Gabe has 5,000 acres. He's got enough land to let the cows go wherever they want. That's him and his son setting up the next paddocks. 1 hour of your time. Oh no, but I want to go drive the tractor. I'd rather be out there. There's the bat latch. That is solar-powered, battery-operated gate opener. Got a timer. Timer, buzzer, timer goes off, cows hear it, bungee cord's released, the cows move to the next paddock by themselves. You can make those on YouTube. There's a guy that made it on YouTube for 60 bucks. Those are about $300. Best $300 you'll ever spend. I'll buy one, no problem. I'm not going to waste my time. I see a lot of producers, in my observation, what they'll do to save pennies, they'll trip on dollars. You put your investment where it'll make you money. Then we plant these multi-species mixes. These cows are gaining anywhere from 3 to 4 pounds a day on these mixes. Absolutely phenomenal. The future is pasture-raised beef. The sad thing about it is we're having to import pasture-raised beef from all over the world because the demand is not being met locally. But you have to have the right animal, and you have to have the right manager to do this. Yes, sir?
How would you handle your watering?
Beautiful. The question is, how would I handle my watering? The first thing is what we've done. I used to design livestock pipeline systems within RCS. My longest pipeline was 25 miles long. When I lived in the West, that's how big our livestock pipeline is. What we used to do is we used to look at the whole plan map, and then we would put all kinds of internal fences. Now, no internal fences. And then what I do is now build the external fence, and everything's going to be a portable wire internally. Then we come and design our pipelines. I do not recommend putting a static design. Just for now, you'll have main lines, and then what you do, where you already have livestock pipeline, like I already have some. I didn't design it. So what I'm going to do with my livestock pipeline, I'm going to move my animals away from the livestock pipeline, from the drinking truck. So my hot wires are going to be moving this way. And then when they come back, rarely will animals back graze. I don't have to worry about that. They'll follow the new grass. They'll wait at the hot wire saying, will you let me get to the next piece? And then I'll design, so what you got to do is we got to design the system with this adaptive grazing in mind. So it's not an easy cut and cookie how I would design it for you. But what I would do is you need to come to one of our schools so we can help you design it, because but you got to have adaptive grazing. Right now, if you go to a local NRCS office and you mention adaptive grazing, they might not get it. They will actually try to put you internal fences. No, 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 no. That's not flexible. You put internal fences, there's a place for weeds to be, and you have no flexibility. We're getting rid of all the internal fences. Gabe had hundreds of thousands of feet of internal fence. He pulled them all out. They were wrong. So the livestock pipeline, we have to design it. We have to design it.
But you have temporary.
Yes, everything's in temporary. So then what we'll have to do is, let me give you an example. You have a square field, you may run a pipeline. Now Gabe is in an area where they have a very deep frost line. His livestock pipeline is only a foot to 2 feet deep. He runs them on the surface. It's a special pipe. And so what he does, he designs it. I wish I had another slide. I would have shown you how he eliminated. Like for example, if you have a square, he runs it down this way on one side of the field, he runs across and up the next field. So then you have a portable, how would you call it, couplings. So that's what we're doing, and portable tubs. So that's another class in itself. But look what we do right here. lot of carbon. And the drier it is, the more carbon you leave behind. Why, class? The more, the drier and the brittle the environment, the less rainfall, the more carbon you leave behind. Why? Why? No. Good guess. Gotta keep that ground covered. Those microbes swim in water. If you take too much, you hurt the whole stand, you will set yourself back on your pasture very badly. You got to manage for the microbes and for your cows. You don't take too much carbon from your system. Yeah, well, and I don't even, see, here's the thing. If we were all farming like this, I wouldn't even worry about the carbon in the air. That's a non-issue. But since we're not farming correctly, it is an issue. This is dairy. In Wisconsin, doing adaptive grazing on dairy cattle. Now, dairy cattle, you have to give them more room. And personally, the way we designed our cows genetically, some don't even do well in pasture. Because we genetically modify them, they'll fall apart. That's why when I tell young people, I say, if you're going to get into dairying, go to Jerseys, something that grazes well. Go to A2 milk, because people are going to pay big bucks for raw milk. My daughter's getting paid $11 a gallon in New Mexico for raw milk. And yet our dairy people are suffering, and it bugs me to no end, for stupid laws and rules, because people would drink more milk. See, because people understand, they're teaching in many venues, don't drink milk. That is absolutely wrong. Can you imagine the Bible says, oh, it's not really the land of milk and honey? Nothing wrong with milk, but the way you pasteurize it, you boil it, you destroy the biology. And you homogenize it, and our bodies don't know how to take it. And then they blame the milk. It's not the milk. It's the way we do business is the problem. And then our dairy cattle, see, because, and please, adaptive grazing is not for everybody. You can hurt animals if you don't know what you're doing. The cow first, then the micro cow. But both of them together. You have to learn how to do this. And once you learn, you're going to love the results. You'll get more grass. And you'll get more grass. And your pastures will get better. And your inputs are very low. Look how it looks. Do you see how much cover? No bare ground? Or we went from one place to another? That's the biggest no-no I ever seen. When you're in doubt, you say, maybe I got 2 more days. No, move them. You took too much. I'd rather leave more behind, because I'll come back and the recoveries will be better. Again, don't forget these 4 processes. You're managing those with the cow and the grass. Right here. When you took too much, now you're here. Too much weeds. The temperature of the soil went up. And then if it goes too much up, then you lose water in the system and the microbes swim in water. You've got to have that armor. I'd rather leave more and come back. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll go around. Manage your grass. Manage the microbes. Adapt to the environment. How many of us have been told, leave half, take half? Raise your hand. Okay, let me tell you. Say you're in a drought. Your grass is this tall. Am I going to take half? No, you take nothing. You can't afford to take anything. You'll hurt the soil. I'd rather feed the hay. You have nothing to take. Do you see the difference? I don't want you to be setting rules. Observe, watch, mimic the natural system. Now, if you've got a lot of grass and you've got to move them quickly, when it starts to slow down, slow down. I graze higher. We were taught to graze really short like the New Zealand people. That's a disaster. I graze higher and leave more. I'll leave 6 to 8 inches when I leave the field. I've got to manage correctly. And remember, By the way, do you know why the cows have such incredible squirts when you have the grass so green? That poor animal is pushing too much protein to the back end. You got to have more carbon, more energy. So you got to let the grass get a little taller. And then you got a problem with pink eye. Pink eye is an issue of imbalance in the body. You're grazing too short, too much protein, it's hurting the animal. I had people telling me I never learned. Ian Mitchell is the one that finally gave me a good reason why these animals are getting pink eye. I used to hear, well, they're grazing too tall stuff. Really? I thought, that doesn't make any sense. Can you imagine the buffalo goes, oh no, I can't graze in there, it's too tall, I get pink eye. Some of the cockamamie responses to the pink eye was ridiculous. Now, when he told me, depending on the species in the plant, if the right species of nitrogen is not right in the plant and there's too much protein, you'll get a problem with pink eye. Wow, that makes sense to me. Grass too tall, that didn't make sense to me at all.
So, like mixed herds, I'm just thinking like if you're running a dairy, would it pay to raise some feed and some sheep so that they can graze your feed?
Absolutely.
And then put your hay in there after?
Totally, that's what I want to do. See, he said, is it good to have multi-species? Absolutely. The Serengeti, was it mixed grazing or was it all segregated? Oh, I don't want to hang around with antelope. They were mixed. My sheep work perfect with the beef. And I love the sheep because I make more money with the sheep than I do the beef. So I'm going to be more of a sheep guy. I'll put my sheep first, then count the cattle. And you know, if you're a cattle guy, you put the cattle first, then you bring the sheep.
It's sort of like you use like you can't make dairy cattle other than graze sheep that's going to reach that field for hay crop.
Absolutely. Because it wants poop from the sheep. It wants manure and urine. Absolutely. I would do that. So that's what I would do. I would push for that kind of type of grazing. Why? Again, managing that. Now notice what happens when our soils get too bare and you have too much bare grass in between, too much soil. Look at the temperatures where the soil got hot. 133 degrees, look where the grass is. Microbes shut down at 113. Enzymatic activity shuts down at 113 degrees. Look at this. This is 96 degrees temperature. 133 the soil got. Now, water evaporated. It's no longer aquatic. The bacteria just go like this. They don't stop working for you. Then you get less grass production. Do not separate the microbe from the grass. Do not separate them out. Same thing here. Now notice here, this is in South Dakota. This is rotational grazing. This is hayland. Notice how light the soil is. Look how poor aggregation. Look at the infiltrations. The rangeland is 27 inches per hour. Our hayland is 0.59. Haying is as bad as tillage. Why is haying so hard on the soil, guys? Anybody? That's part of it. What else? You're hauling all your carbon, hauling the nutrients. You're taking all the energy from the aggregate. You took too much. That's why silage is brutal. You've got to move manure back to the silage. You're taking way too much carbon. You put the system to shock, and guess what? Infiltrations go to the pot. That's why in hayland, if we had a big rain simulator with hay, hayland, conventional net, all the water will run off the hayland, even with the cover. I was shocked. I could not believe that much water ran off the hayfields. Why? You take all the aggregation away. Now, how do you fix a hayfield? And you know you got to take hay from. What would you do, audience, now that you've been into the zone of microbes? What would you do? I'd leave the last cutting. I would not plant a pure stand of alfalfa. I'd mix some oats. I'd put some orchard grass. I would mix grasses. Because hay, alfalfa, pure stand alfalfa is really hard on the soil. Because if you look between the alfalfa field, there's a lot of bare ground, and it's not a fibrous root system. And your fields actually, and your animals actually have better digestible protein. Your feed will be better if you mix it in pure stand alfalfa. And you cannot get nutritionists to get and grasp that. But everybody wants pure stand alfalfa. But I don't. I do not want a pure standard alfalfa. It hurts my soil too much. I don't want a lagoon year after year after year. Besides, after the 5th year, I used to raise alfalfa. 5th year, what happens to alfalfa? Do you know why? It's called soil toxosis. Alfalfa will poison itself out. According to the Russian soil microbiologist, there's a bacteriophagi, virus attacks the nodulators, alfalfa dies. That is nature's way of saying, I don't want the same root year after year after year. It's telling you something. Mix it, put manure, put urine on it. My gosh, you'll get different. You'll take the last cutting. Go run your no-till drill, put a mix in there. Look at the manure values. If I have 100 cows, 1,000 pounds, 11 days, 1 acre, I got 256 pounds of N, 156 pounds of P, 572 pounds of K. Absolutely amazing. And I didn't have to manure spread it. The cow is the perfect solar, I mean, it is an incredible creature. The manure is fantastic what it does to the soil. Let me give you a case study. Give you 2 case studies and we'll wrap it up. I grew up in the West. I grew up in New Mexico. Our family's been there for 570 years, 470. In fact, they have a county called Archuleta County. Yay! And my dad said, son, I want you to do 2 things in life. And I said, what, Dad? I want you to work hard, and I don't want you to marry your cousin. So I married a good Missouri girl. I did what I was supposed to do. He liked that. He goes, oh my God, he's crazy. I am. I'm surprised you let me out, huh? They did put a chain link fence around the county. I got out. Actually, it's in Colorado County, really. Now, this is the kind of environment I grew up in, folks, for the most part of our state. You get 12 inches of rain, heavy rains, most of the water runs off. Why? Right here. Heavy crust through all the rangeland. This is part of New Mexico. New Mexico is the 5th largest state. My county in Oregon was 6 million acres. 300,000 irrigated acres. Conservation District, how would you like to manage that one? The ranchers down in the southern part of the state, when they knew I was going down there, it was kind of like, I'd get a phone call. Hey, Ray, we heard you're coming down here. I said, how did you know that? They said, we got connections. But it would take me 3 hours to drive to the end of my county. But here's my point, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way it looks. See, our range scientists told us this. Oh yeah, you can't come back because, see, these invasive species kicked in called creosote mesquite. Look at all the bare ground. Can you imagine all the heat that's being released in all those millions of acres? Could this be part of why we're having climate issues? Yes. The soil's getting too hot. Then all this sensible heat is being released and it's pushing the rain away. What we have is a green problem. We need to be covering the whole country with green and restoring our range. Then the climate will come back. I really believe that. Look at here. Look at the bare ground between the mesquite. And I would creosote, and I would drive, and I'd go home to see my mom and dad. I said, Mom, I said, Dad, I would be thinking, it hurts to see my country, our country. And I'm driving, and I said, how are we going to fix that? I was saying my small prayers driving. I said, God, how are we going to fix this? Then I saw a YouTube video. I saw a video by a rancher who is holistic in thought process. Let's see what he did. He bought a keyline plow. Don't let the word plow get you go crazy right now. It is a narrow shank with a very specific V shape, just enough to break the crust. And you do it on a key line. You have to do it on a ISO line. In other words, you have to follow the contour. Then it stimulates, the water comes in, weeds grow. This is the way it looks. Now, if you do it with a disc, you'll destroy it. There's a reason the highway department uses a disc. It is great for making highways and runways. The disc is the most awesome tool for destroying soil. It destroys aggregates, smashes them. It is a harmful tool. So if I used to do my grass, being an NRCS guy, we would do our are designed for our grazing species, and I would design the mixes, and then we would tell the producers to go ahead and disc it. Ruined it. Grass wouldn't come up. You sealed the surface, destroyed the aggregate. It was a terrible thing to do, and I did a lot of bad mistakes. So what he did is he just broke the crust. That's all you got to do. Then he runs the cows like buffalo right in. They come and defecate, they urinate. You can actually get this to do with the hoofs. You drop some old hay, let them crush and break the crust. But look what he did. It all came back. No seeding. The ecological memory came back. The seed bank was there, but it could not. It's not colder than North Dakota. Look at his cows warm up over there. Look at the total amount. Do you guys have 223 days of frost? They get that. That's why the cars warm up like that. This is Gabe's cows grazing on them. I've been to Gabe's place. I've been there in the winter. I am a warm season cover crop. I will winter kill there. It is brutally cold, and it blows, and there's no trees. Not like you guys have. Those are his cows grazing at negative 20, 30 degrees out there. I said, Gabe, what happens if one of your cows die? He says, I improved the genetic pool. Those cows are designed to be there. They can handle it. What we have done is genetically change it. Let me know how much time I got and kick me off. How much time do I have? Am I done? About 5 minutes? Okay. Thank you. You're so kind. Now, here's what's so darn cool. What the North Dakotas have done. I was blown away. What is our biggest expenditure for dairy or beef animals? What's our biggest expenditure? Feed. These guys started planting multi-species mixes and graze them in the winter. They run their no-till drill and plant hundreds of acres of mixes, and they get 100 inches of snow. Their rain is 16 inches, total preset. 10 comes in rain, and the 6 inches comes in the whole, when you break the 10-to-1 ratio, most of their preset gets, a lot of their preset comes in snow. Think about 100 inches of snow. Look at the cows grazing the mixes. They save over $60,000 in hay by letting the mixes, just grazing the mixes, and leaving the cows. See, in North Dakota, Gabe and some of the ranchers believe cows have legs. Everything in the farm must work. Isn't that a biblical principle? If you do not work, you do not eat. Well, the same thing for the cow, same for the chicken, and for even our teenagers. Somebody says good luck, right? No, the teenagers will work too. Look how they're converting dollars. It's amazing. They go through the snow and they're picking up these. Look how well they're doing for protein content. That's pretty darn good for those mixes. Look at the crude protein. That's why one of the things he prefers is some of the things that they use is pretty amazing. And you have to design your mixes so you can get that nutrient quality. Does that look like a good pie? That's beautiful. I mean, I want my cow pie to look like a pumpkin pie. You don't want them to be the squirts. That is good. That's a great looking pie. Beautiful. Bale Grazing. I did Bale Grazing this year. Where did I learn Bale Grazing from? Gabe. I bought my sheep because I knew we had a very, very bad drought in the fall. I mean, we hardly got any rain. I started feeding hay, but I knew I was okay because I learned this from Gabe. I'm going to Bale Graze. So if I had areas that were bare spots or didn't look really good, there were dips on my field, I planted my bales right there. And I let the sheep, kind of broke them apart. I let the sheep trample, urinate, defecate on my feed. Let them trample it in. I want to feed my microbes. And it looks like this when they're done. That's what I want to see. And then, oops, where's the spot? Where's my slides out of place? Oh my gosh, sorry guys. But wherever the slides were, here's what, I'll see if I can find them before I get off. But wherever we did, the production on that spot was 7 to 10 times higher. Where we trampled and defecated and urinated there, it was 10 times better. Almost done? Okay, he's kicking me off. But here's the thing, let me see if I can find that slide. I think we're done. And then we're raising the bacon. We're doing pasture-raised sheep, the diversity, and then there's Gabe blending into some of his mixes. Let me see, and I'll wrap it up. I'm done. They're kicking me off. Okay. Unfortunately, there's always so much to share. I'll leave you with my last slide. Back up. This is North Carolina. Oops, my slide's not play. I designed a warm season mix, and we ran a no-till drill with no herbicide, no fertilizer, and we no-tilled a multi-species mix into our fescue. Raised the fescue hard. It was hot. Fescue goes downhill. That is a multi-species mix. In North Carolina, the cattle do terrible with fescue. They only gain about 1/2 to 9/10 of a pound a day. Fescue and Interfight really messes with them. This is a multi-10-way species mix with no fertilizer, no chemicals, and we no-till right into it. That's Ray's crazy mix. Here's the crazy, designed the mix. And when the professor saw that, because we got in an argument, me and the professor, he said, Ray, you don't work, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. So I pissed him off, and I said, he's the crazy professor. I said, look, let's do a deal. Well, we were all driving together, and I'll finish up the last story here. It was a grazing specialist, Dr. Matt Poor, and I have a lot of respect for him, Dr. Poor. He's actually a grazer himself. It's neat to see a researcher that actually does it himself. So we were driving a van, we were doing our grazing talks, and all of a sudden they got funny, said, Ray, what you're teaching is full of crap, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. I said, so we got into this kind of scuffle, a little argument. Not argument, we just got testy. We got real quiet, it was an awkward moment. And I started going, oh, he was mad. Wow. He said to me, okay, Ray, I'm done. You design the mix right now. So it was Johnny Rogers, another grazer, got his master's degree, and they're both good friends. Love both of them. So they said, okay, you do the mix now. So we designed the mix. The mix came out beautiful. Now they're doing all North Carolina, and he's the biggest promoter. Had to piss him off. Sometimes we have to get pissed off to change the way we think. So all I was telling him, let's mimic the natural system, guys. Let's mimic it, work with it. Guys, I really thank you. And today are we going to have question and answer today? Thank you very much.